Powered by Riverside FM.
Powered by Riverside.
Welcome to another edition of Unconventional Playbook. I am so excited to be with you today. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning. Sun is shining, no rain. Just a beautiful day outside in the beautiful state of Wisconsin. I want to talk about a couple of moves that have been made recently for the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Minnesota Vikings. Sometimes, some of your non-splashiest moves are some of the best moves that you can actually make as a franchise. It's those moves that gives you a lot of depth. It's those moves that are basically made for chemistry issues. And I think both of the franchises in the state of Minnesota has done that. You look at the Minnesota Vikings re-signing Cam Akers. Again, that's not a big splash nationally, but for those of you who had an opportunity to watch Cam Akers play last year, there were some signs, especially in in an organization where the running game wasn't very good last year. Cam Akers came in and provided a spark before he tore his Achilles. And then Joe Ingalls, the signing from, previously played for the Orlando Magic, now coming to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Let's start with the Minnesota Timberwolves first. And Joe Ingalls, I love the move. Because you get a savvy vet, upper 30s, I believe he's 37, 38 years old. So you're bringing in a mature guy in the locker room. And in my opinion, everyone was worried about the Minnesota Timberwolves letting Slow-Mo go. Now, I think Joe Ingalls really, for me, is an upgrade in what they need. Not taking anything away from Slow-Mo. Really, really good player, good defensively, provided a lot of the intangibles that the Minnesota Timberwolves needed. But there are times where, they needed more scoring. And obviously, looking at the offseason, the Minnesota Timberwolves are acknowledging that they need people that can go out and get a bucket. Joe Ingalls is one of those guys that can go out and get a bucket. A couple of years ago, played for the Milwaukee Bucks, played 46 games, averaged about 22 minutes a game, shot 40% from three, averaged about 7 points a game for the Milwaukee Bucks. Signed a contract with the Orlando Magic last year, played 68 games, averaged about 17 minutes a game. 4.4 points per game, but they hit the three-point shot at a 43% clip. So he is virtually a career 40+% guy from the three-point line. So what that's going to do in terms of basketball terms is be able to stretch the floor, provide more space for Ant, Rob Dillingham, guys that can slash to the basket, and then provide another option in terms of kicking the ball out to shooters. I think Joe Ingalls really provides a sharp shooting mentality with this basketball team, something that was sorely missed and sorely needed. They need more shooters, and I think Joe Ingalls provides that. I like that the Minnesota Timberwolves tried to make this happen a year ago, but he signed with Orlando. Now that he's available again, they circle back around to Joe Ingalls, and I think it's a nice addition to the team. Not a sexy pickup. It's barely a whisper, in terms of the national media talking about Joe Ingalls signing with the Minnesota Timberwolves, especially that's being overshadowed by the Minnesota Timberwolves draft, which was absolutely excellent. But Joe Ingalls is going to provide some stability to that rotation, added shooter, a savvy vet that can come in and lead in spots for this young basketball team. So I thought it was a great pickup for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Again, one of those under-the-radar moves by Tim Connolly, who is executive of the year, in my opinion, just doing a fantastic job for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, the Minnesota Vikings essentially was pretty much last in every category last year in terms of running backs. You know, the KOC, you could argue that they really haven't had a running game. Their passing game has flourished. They've always been, top 15, top 10 in terms of offense since KOC arrived. Obviously, a big part of that was Kirk Cousins. He's gone now. Kirk Cousins on average threw for 4,000 plus yards for the Minnesota Vikings, but now he's gone. And so now you've got a lot of unknowns at the quarterback spot. Obviously drafting, your franchise guy like J.J. McCarthy. They're bringing in Sam Darnold, former top pick in the NFL draft. I believe he was, drafted third. Baker Mayfield that year was drafted number 1, and now Sam Darnold's coming into a situation where it's probably his best situation that he's ever been in terms of a pro football player. And so he's going to have a lot of tools at his disposal to be able to get his next contract. And I think I've gone on record to say this is a no excuse year for Sam Darnold. This is your time to get it done. You got Aaron Jones in the backfield. You got a good offensive line. You got tools at the wide receiver spot. You got Hawkinson when he comes back from his injury to be that insurance policy, that tight end position. And you got Sam Darnold. But the re-signing of Cam Akers, a lot of people would ask, well, why would you sign him? You got, Ty Chandler and you just signed Aaron Jones. Well, if you look at Cam Akers, he's always been that scat back type guy you can throw to out of the backfield and also give you about 10 to 15 carries certain games and be very, very productive. So he provides a lot of depth to a position where there are some injury issues. You don't know whether Ty Chandler is going to stay healthy, and Aaron Jones has had his issues in terms of being able to stay healthy for the Green Bay Packers. So now that's an insurance policy there. And then also the special teams game has changed a lot in the NFL with all the special teams ruling. And so my speculation is that they're probably going to have 2 running backs back there on special teams, non-starting type guys. And I think Cam Akers really, really fills that spot. Someone that probably can't give you, 20 plus carries at the running back spot, but he could be a utility guy. He could be that guy to bring in every now and then in the backfield, throw some passes to him out of the backfield, and then have him be a part of the newly revamped Minnesota Vikings special teams unit. And I think that's something that he could be really, really good at. So I think that spurred on the signing. He's been in town rehabbing ever since he got injured with the Minnesota Vikings. So this is obviously a place where he wants to be. And it's obviously a relationship that the Minnesota Vikings still want to covet in terms of him signing a new deal pending that his physical passes. So 2 great moves by our 2 organizations here in the state of Minnesota. Not splashy, not sexy, but moves that provide a lot of depth and moves that have a lot of purpose. And so Cam Akers, I expect to be heavy on special teams, and Joe Ingalls providing that leadership and ability to be able to shoot from outside. 2 great moves by the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Minnesota Vikings. More content to come as stuff comes up within the great state of Minnesota and the great state of Wisconsin. We're going to keep on covering that. Summer League is coming up. We got to do a pod on that. The Minnesota Timberwolves Summer League squad is stacked. This is an opportunity to get to see our new draft picks, guys that we're looking at, guys who we drafted last year that are just coming back from injury that's going to get a chance to play. So there's a lot of interest on the heels of the NBA Finals, more specifically the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals. A lot of interest there. So I think a lot of eyes are going to be on Summer League. I know my eyes are going to be on Summer League watching some of those games. So I can't wait to see what the new Young Bucks look like. Hit the like and subscribe button. Continue to show the love. Thank you for those of you that have supported the station. We're continuing to grow. This has been Unconventional Playbook, and we will definitely see you when we see you.
Powered by Riverside.